Welcome back into the Extra Point here on WEGO 91.1 FM or online at WEGOFM.com. I'm your host, Jetta Dillard. Alongside me is the one, it's the only. It's Brooks Childress. Brooks, it's another Tuesday here in Auburn, Alabama. How are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. The sun's shining, the birds are singing. Patriots 138-7. Everything's right with the world.
We're once again here on WEGO 91.1 FM. You can also catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6. So if you can look at us, you can see our faces. That means you're watching us on EagleEyeAuburn.com, Eagle Eye's YouTube page, or maybe, just maybe, you're watching public access TV. That's right, Eagle Eye TV has made its way into the city. That means we've now invaded your homes on our way to the White House in 2042.
We're still doing that?
I wanted to.
Okay.
Brooks, we just talk about sports all the day. Let's go ahead and get into it. I want to start off with this. I want to start off with our college football game. Okay, so you know exactly where this is going.
Yeah, I know where this is going.
First off, I just want to say congratulations to me. For I went 10-0 in picks this week.
That you did. Congratulations.
Can you pat me on my shoulder?
Thank you.
Now, I specifically remember asking you, the Notre Dame Stanford game was the split game.
Yes.
You went 9-1, but you didn't go 10-0 like I did.
That is correct.
And you said, I'm going to pick Stanford, and I asked you, quote, is this the hill you want to die on? And you said yes. Brooks, is it still the hill you want to die on?
No.
That's what I thought.
Because I'm climbing back this week.
Well, after I took my resounding 2-game lead last week, you said that one of your guarantees by the time we come back on Tuesday was that you were going to cut into that lead.
That is factual.
You did not.
I did not.
Granted, I said the Dolphins would beat the Patriots. So neither of our guarantees happened from last Thursday. Needless to say. But Brooks, look on the bright side. Look on the bright side.
David Shaw, you let me down.
Look on the bright side. You still have. You're only behind 3 games. We both have very good records. I believe I'm 34-16. You're 31-19. Those are not bad records.
No,
not at all.
We know our stuff.
Now, that being said, we got some pretty tough games to pick this week. We're not going to pick them today. I'm not going to lie to you. This week was kind of tough to pick games. There's not a lot of big top 25 matchups. Brooks, do you want to guess the game I almost put on our schedule?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's the game that I really would love to watch, but I can't. The Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
That was not the game I was talking about. I almost put James Madison versus Elon on our schedule to pick. And I don't think any of us are well-versed in James Madison or Elon football.
Well, I know James Madison is a team, and I know Elon's a team, and I know that game day has gone to James Madison, so I probably would have picked James Madison.
I know that Mickey Dean's from James Madison.
Is he? No, that's right. He came there. I was about to say, did he go to school there?
We got some Auburn softball into the show today. Do you want me to just quickly go through and give you what we're going to pick on Thursday?
Absolutely.
First,
I need to be able to start preparing myself now.
We have LSU, Florida.
Okay.
Kentucky, A&M. That's going to be a tough one because it's in A&M.
Yeah.
How good is Kentucky?
Yeah.
Texas, Oklahoma.
That'll be a good game.
Maryland versus Michigan.
That won't. I would say that wouldn't be a good game, but Michigan struggled with Northwestern this weekend, so it may be a better game than we think.
Boston College versus NC State.
That would have been a good game 2 weeks ago.
Notre Dame on the road against Virginia Tech.
That'll be a good game.
Indiana versus Ohio State.
No, Ohio State. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and say this. This isn't my pick. But Ohio State.
It's his pick.
This is not my pick. But Ohio State, I don't think they're the game last year with Indiana, where it was at Indiana first week of the season. It was really close or relatively close. That's not going to happen this week.
San Diego State versus Boise State.
Some Mountain West action. I like it.
And the last game we're going to pick, it is Iowa versus Minnesota.
Yes.
There's not many good games, so Iowa and Minnesota got on the schedule for us to pick.
I'm so happy.
So for the first time, we'll be able to pick some Minnesota Golden Gophers football.
Can we find a Row the Boat logo and put it on our picks on Twitter?
We definitely can put it on there.
Yes.
We can definitely put some Minnesota Row the Boat on there. Brooks, going back to college football, we saw some movement in our personal top 25s. Brooks, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, LSU are your top 5 teams.
That is correct.
My top 5 is a tad bit different. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Notre Dame. One of these is not like the others. Clemson, I have at number 6. Brooks, why do you personally have Clemson at 3rd in the nation?
They've struggled. They haven't performed up to the Clemson football standards that we've seen the last few years under Dabo Swinney. But they're still undefeated. And they've still got one of the top defenses in the nation. And we have not faulted us and the media, the rest of the media, have not faulted other teams for their struggles. Like, per se, Auburn. Auburn's still moved up after struggling at Southern Miss. Auburn's at number 8. The media hasn't faulted Auburn for their struggles. And I believe in the AP poll, Clemson's 4th.
Clemson is 4th in the AP poll.
So they're still undefeated. They're still on track for a playoff spot if they win their conference. I don't have any. Even though they've struggled against Clemson, and they kind of struggled early against Georgia Southern. There's nothing there that tells me they need to be dropped out of the top 5.
Well, let me ask you a question. Does Clemson have the resumes that LSU and Notre Dame have?
I mean, they beat a decent Texas A&M team.
An unranked Texas A&M? Wait,
Well,
A&M may be ranked now.
I don't think they're... Are they back ranked?
I think they're in the back end of the top 25, or they're unranked. But A&M's there. They're definitely receiving votes. They're definitely in the top 30.
It's a win over a Texas A&M team that is fluctuating in and out of the top 25.
Yes.
I'm pulling this. They're not in the top 25. They are receiving votes. So they're fluctuating in and out of the top 25.
But is that more impressive than Notre Dame's win over a top 15 Michigan and a top 15 Stanford, and then LSU's wins over a top 20 Miami and a top 10 Auburn? No, it's not.
Yeah, I can't defend that.
So, do you have Clemson at 3 because they just haven't lost?
I have them at 3 because it's like Alabama. Alabama is by far the over and above number 1 team in the nation. Mm-hmm. They're the best team in the nation. But they've only beaten one ranked team so far.
Yes.
They've beaten A&M, which was, 22, 20-something?
At the time.
They were like 20-something.
20s.
So they've only beaten one ranked team, but Notre Dame is undefeated, and they beat, like you said, they beat top 15 Michigan, top 10 Stanford, and then LSU's top 5 team, and they beat 2 top 10 teams in Miami and Auburn. So it's kind of around the same, Clemson started there. Well, Clemson started at 2, but I don't, they're still there. No one's moved in front of them because they haven't lost anything. The only team that's moved in front of them is Georgia, and I think Georgia's been a little bit better than Clemson in their wins. I think Georgia and Clemson are about the same resume. They don't have, the quality win. They don't have the quality wins that LSU and Notre Dame has, but they just haven't lost yet. So I don't feel like I need to move them until they lose.
I think what you're seeing is a battle of different philosophies from both of us. You're doing more of, this is my top 25, and you're really not going to move unless you either prove to me that you're a really bad team, even though you didn't lose, or you actually lost.
I like to stand by my picks. I'm like, you're the number 3 team until you prove me otherwise.
Whereas with me, depending on how you play from week to week, I line up those teams as this is the best 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 25. That nobody can beat Alabama. The only team that can beat Georgia is Alabama. The only team that can beat Ohio State is Alabama and Georgia. The only team that can beat LSU is Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State. Like, that's how I look at it.
You don't think Notre Dame would beat LSU?
No, because LSU's defense.
I like it.
Because Notre Dame's offense has been iffy.
Mm-hmm.
They've been better. They've gotten a lot better.
I was about to say with
their new quarterback.
What's his name? Book?
Yes. They've been a lot better. But what has been Notre Dame's kind of crutch all season, though? They can easily give up points.
Yeah.
They gave up 29 to Wake Forest. They gave up 17 to Stanford, which is good, but Stanford also struggles to score.
Yeah.
If LSU were to meet Notre Dame, and Joe Burrow has been doing well, by the way, this is no longer Joe Burrow, transfer quarterback. This is Joe Burrow, SEC Offensive Player of the Week, Joe Burrow.
I still don't think he's the transcendent quarterback player that LSU has been looking for, like, a big name, like a chain, I don't know what to say, a dynasty building quarterback. Like
the transfer. I don't think many transfers are not dynasty building.
Yeah, but he's a good quarterback for LSU right now to keep them where they are and to help them achieve good things and keep Ed Orgeron in a job.
I mean, Joe Burrow, no interceptions. He does not turn the ball over. He's above 50% completion now, is climbing steadily. He's averaging 250, almost 300 yards per game, a couple of touchdowns. He's getting there. He didn't play great in the beginning, but he's starting to get there, and I think that can be scary for LSU. The LSU's never had great quarterbacks, but Joe Burrow has been one of the best that they've had in a long time.
They haven't had a good quarterback or a great quarterback since, I believe, Jamarcus Russell.
I would say so.
I don't know who else. I guess you could say Zach Mettenberger.
And I guess we can go on a limb and say Danny Etling.
I wouldn't say Danny Etling.
You don't think Danny Etling?
No, he's not. I put Jamarcus in my lifetime.
This is why we went on a limb.
I would say in my lifetime, I'd say Jamarcus Russell is the best quarterback at LSU I've seen. Then to be Zach Mettenberger, and then everyone else.
So that's kind of how we kind of have our top 5 when it comes to college football. And I truly do believe it's just a different mindset, that Clemson hasn't played well. Ohio State, LSU, Notre Dame's resumes are all better than Clemson.
You see, I don't think either of us are wrong, because you've got the mindset of if I think you're better, like if you can beat this team, you're going to go in front of them. And then I've got the mindset of more like the traditional media, where it's like, I'm going to hold you around where you are until you prove me otherwise, until you lose a game.
And that's kind of why, for your poll, I believe Auburn's at 9 or 8.
Yeah, I put them at 8.
Whereas in my poll, they're 12.
Yeah, you see, like, even if Auburn comes out against Mississippi State, who's a lackluster Mississippi State right now, and they win, it was another 3-2 win like we had a few years back. I'm still keeping Auburn at like 8, 9, because they are still undefeated, or they're not undefeated, but they still haven't proved to me that they're that bad. Their only loss is to a top 15 LSU team.
A top 5 LSU team at this point.
Yeah. At the time, it was a top 15 LSU team.
But we know that climbs as the other team climbs. That LSU loss, we make the joke, a quality loss. Quality loss right now for
The more LSU wins, the better it looks on anyone that loses to LSU's resume.
Which, now that LSU loss is going to start coming into play now, because LSU goes through the gauntlet of they got to welcome in Florida. They play Georgia the week after that, and then, Alabama's on the schedule.
You see,
So LSU could easily have 3 losses very soon.
I'll talk about this more when we do our picks and preview the games on Thursday. But I think something that told us a lot about Florida was this weekend against Mississippi State, who's a lackluster Mississippi State. They've got a decent defense, but they could only one of the top quarterbacks in the conference, Felipe Franks, and that Florida offense could only manage 17 points.
13 to 6.
I gave them a little bit more credit than they deserved. But I think that's very telling of how this weekend could go, and I'll talk about that more when we preview our pick, or we do our picks and preview those on Thursday.
Well, yeah, Mississippi State Florida was an ugly game, but I do think that speaks volumes about both teams. It'll be interesting to see Florida and LSU go at it this week. I think it'll be one of the games to watch in the nation, because Florida, guess what? They snuck into the top 25. They're 22. LSU's top 5. This could be something that could really shake up the East. And also an LSU loss, while bad for Auburn's resume, does get Auburn back into the West hunt for the division title. So Auburn's kind of hoping for that LSU loss. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Brooks, the postseason's here for baseball.
Isn't it fun?
I don't know.
I always love postseason baseball.
When we come back, we'll detail MLB postseason. You're listening to Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGL.com. You also may catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6, or on EagleEyeAuburn.com.
This is a place where it only takes a second to imagine your future. Grasp a new concept in class. Inspire a child's curiosity. Discover a real-world solution. Seize an unexpected opportunity.
There goes Davis!
This is where you gain the preparation, confidence, and determination to succeed. This is Auburn.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
And welcome back into the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. If you want to catch our podcast, us after the show, you can do that every Tuesday and Thursday at noon on SoundCloud and on iTunes by going to WEGL 91.1 FM.
Got a little tongue-tied there, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit tongue-tied. Look, we have a long, kind of card we have to read for this. Going to the flip side, if you want to watch us in video format, you can catch us on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6 on campus, or we've invaded your TV homes. We are now public access. You can catch us anywhere, I believe, on Channel 6. We should really back that up with some information.
Yeah, we probably need to find that out sometime.
Yeah, well, what if we're not Channel 6?
What if we're channel 732?
That's another problem. And then you can also catch us on EagleEyeAuburn.com or Eagle Eye's YouTube page at Eagle Eye TV. You can catch us. We're pretty much everywhere at this point. We start branding out.
We're all over.
All over. Let me tell you what else was all over.
The only place we're not is at ESPN, and we're coming for you.
We're coming for you. Let me tell you what's all over, Brooks. The chaos around baseball was all over yesterday. Had a couple of tiebreaker games we had to get through. The Cubs and the Brewers playing a baseball, just a classic baseball game. 2-1 win for the Brew Crew.
Actually, it was like 3-1, I believe.
It did go to 3-1, that's right. 3-1 win for the Brew Crew. Big one for them. I mean, you got to remember the Brewers were a team that was fourth in the wild card, and they automatically jumped to first in the NL. They now have home field advantage. It was a big win for the Brewers, big win for their fan base. The Brewers aren't one of those teams that see this kind of spotlight a lot, so it's nice for them to get that. Then you over in the west of the NL, you had the Dodgers and the Rockies battle out for the second spot in the National League. The Dodgers getting a win over the Rockies. The Dodgers will now have home field advantage as they take on the Braves, I believe, starting Thursday.
And it will be Thursday.
As the Brewers await the winner of the Rockies Cubs, which is today at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. The Rockies will have to go to Wrigley to try to get a big win, and after that on Wednesday, the Athletics, who've had a great year, are only the 5 seed, and they got to play the 100-win New York Yankees in the Bronx for a wild card game. Bad draw for the Athletics.
It's a bad draw in the fact that you have to go to Yankee Stadium.
That, and if you win, you got to play the best team in baseball.
True.
In the Red Sox.
I think in the American League, in the wild card, the Athletics have a really good chance that they could beat the Yankees and knock the Yankees out in the wild card game. It's a one game.
It's one game, and I said this. I said it on the wake-up call earlier today. I said, in baseball, if you made the Orioles play the Yankees, 1 out of 10 times the Orioles are going to win a game. But that's just how baseball works. Baseball, I mean, any team can show up and beat anybody. That's just how baseball goes. So the Athletics can very well win against the Yankees on Wednesday.
The only
Not a very
problem,
good chance.
the only problem is you got to go to Yankee Stadium, where the Yankees have been really good this year. They've been really good at home, and it's a one-game series. Those New York fans are going to be pumped. They're going to be amped. They're going to be ready to get this game. They're going to be like, all right, let's go out, take care of business in this game, and then we've got the Red Sox, who say this is them speaking, they're the quote-unquote best team in baseball, and we're going to go and prove them wrong. So they're going to be in that mindset. But the Athletics have been a really good team this year. They've surprised me how good they've been. And the Yankees have also been a really good team. Their hitting has fluctuated throughout the year. I think both teams have their ships righted right now, and it's going to be a really good game Wednesday. Since it's a one-off game, I think the Yankees are going to win it. If it was a series, I'd give the Athletics a chance. But one-off game, Yankees are going to throw I don't know who they're going to throw yet. And it's going to be just the Yankees are going to come out with their hitting at home and are going to take advantage of the Athletics having to travel cross country and get the win.
Brooks, we're actually going to pick these games.
Ooh.
We're actually going to pick all of the baseball postseason. And we're going to do the wild card games today. And then we'll do the rest of the playoffs on Thursday. But we want to see how well we can pick these games.
All
Okay?
right. I like it.
So here's the game that we're about to play. Okay? The wild card games don't really matter as much, but for the postseason, we're going to pick the game, and we're going to pick how many games they win in. Okay? Say I'm going to pick the Astros in 3, but it actually goes 4, right?
Sure.
I'm +1.
Okay. So it's like golf. The lower score you have.
It's like golf. The lower score wins. And that's how we're going to do this.
Okay.
That's how the game's going to be played here. So say, in the ALCS, the Red Sox are playing the Astros, and I say Red Sox in 5, but the Red Sox win in 4. I'm -1. We're going golf rules here.
Okay.
So for the wild card, the only thing is we got to pick the winner. If you lose, then it's just +1. If you get it, even.
Okay.
Do you understand how the game works?
I think so, yes.
That's just a little game we're going to do.
I like it. Add some pizzazz.
Now, that being said, say you pick the Astros say you're in the ALCS, you pick the Astros in 5, but the Red Sox win in 6. Not only are you +1 because it went up a game, but we're also going to add in another 1 because you picked the wrong team.
Okay.
That's how it works. Don't worry, it's very detailed.
I like it.
I went through it this weekend. It should be very fun. Okay.
I like it.
So now
I look forward to winning it.
We're going to pick the NL for tonight, the AL for Wednesday. Brooks, I'll let you start it off. You know what? No, I'll start it off.
Okay.
Because on the wake-up call this morning, I picked an upset. I'm picking the Rockies to win tonight. And the reason for that, the Cubs have the overwhelmingly better talent. They do.
Yeah.
There's the reason why they were almost a 1 seed. But I believe after being deflated by the Brewers and only scoring 1 run against the Brewers, that they're going to come out a bit sluggish. And the Rockies are one of those teams that can put up a lot of points on you if you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
They're a very good hitting team. They know how to drive. They know how to drive in runs very well. They have a great strategy at it. So I think the Rockies can win this game. I'm actually very high up on the Rockies. I think they're more excited on where they're at than the Cubs are. Don't get me wrong, the Cubs are happy that they're in the playoffs, but it's the first time in years, decades, the Rockies have been to back-to-back postseasons. They're hyped. They're ready to go. And the Cubs literally yesterday had come off a depressing loss, going from a 1 seed home field advantage to a 4 seed playing for your life. I think the Rockies are going to be more motivated. I think the Rockies are going to get a big win.
Yesterday, I was talking to someone here in the studio about yesterday's wild card games, and I said I thought the Dodgers would win, and I thought the Cubs would win because it's a one-game series. Since it was one game, if it was a series, I'd change my picks a little bit. But because it was one game, I said the Dodgers and the Cubs. Dodgers won, Cubs didn't. I think the Brewers are a really good team.
They've won 9 in a row.
I think the Rockies are a little deflated after yesterday.
The Rockies or Cubs?
Both. Because the Rockies wanted that spot. They wanted to win and win the division.
Sure, but I think the Rockies are so happy that this is where they're at.
They're still happy, but they're not as hype as they would have been if they won the division.
No.
And the way they lost that game too, where they got up 5, or the Dodgers got up 5, and then they kind of tried to come back, and then the Dodgers shut them down. The Cubs, on the other hand, just lost that in a heartbreaker because it was tied going late into that game, and then the Brewers broke out and won that game. Rockies had to travel. They had to travel from Los Angeles to Chicago last night. Cubs got to sleep in their own beds. They got to go home early because that was the early game. They got enough rest. I think the Cubs are going to win this game. It's going to be really close, but I think the Cubs are going to win it, and we're going to set up a rematch between the Brewers and the Cubs in the NLDS.
The AL wildcard game, Athletics, Yankees. I'm going to go out on a limb and say we're both going to pick the Yankees. This is probably the most lopsided matchup that there probably will be in the postseason.
I like the Astros. I like
Athletics.
Yeah, the Athletics. I like the Athletics.
See, you've already given up on them, haven't you?
Yes. I mean, I like them. They played really good baseball this year. They've outperformed everyone's expectations. But they're going to Yankee Stadium on a one-game play-in.
This is a Yankee team that broke the single-season home run record for a team that's playing at home. They have over 100 wins. Honestly, they are no wild card team. The Yankees have spent too much money. They have too good a talent to be a wild card team right now, but here they are. And you're the lowly Athletics. Not lowly. You played well. You played good. You had a good season. You know, I'm sorry. I apologize to Athletic fans. I don't want to bring you down. You had a great season. You should be happy about where you're at. But you are not on the same level as the Yankees.
Very few teams are.
Honestly, the 3 best teams in baseball, I would argue, are all in the American League. Red Sox, Yankees, Astros. Behind that, you bring in the first NL team, I believe it's down to the Dodgers or the Brewers. And it depends on who's hot right now, and I would say the Brewers are hot.
I don't think many people would argue against that.
So, I mean, if you're the Athletics, you're the new kid at the party. You're the new kid come to the cafeteria with the braces on, the big head brace, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With your little lunch tray looking for a new group to sit with. That's the Athletics right now. This is 6th, 7th grade all over again. And all the listeners just kind of like shriveled up inside because they were that kid back in middle school, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about the big head brace, but, just trying to find a new group.
Sure.
That's what the A's are doing right now. And the Yankees are about to be the guy that walked past and just flipped the tray up in their face.
Yeah. Yeah, the Yankees are going to win. I think it'll be relatively close for a good amount of the game, but the Yankees are going to win it.
Yankees big, I believe. Probably Yankees by more than 4 runs, to be quite honest. I think the Yankees put it on them. But that's going to do it for our picks for postseason baseball. When we come back on Thursday, we'll pick the rest when we have a nice filled-out bracket. We know who's going to be playing who. We'll pick all the way up to the World Series and who will be our World Series champions. But for now, Brooks, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss a very interesting topic in National Football League. We're not going to talk about the Chiefs coming back yesterday. We're not going to talk about overtime rules, although I think we can go to a big discussion about overtime rules because it's getting kind of ridiculous at this point.
A little bit.
We're going to talk about Earl Thomas, Le'Veon Bell, and this whole situation around these guys wanting to get better contracts for their team out of their teams because Le'Veon's coming back, Earl Thomas is not. And we're going to talk more about that after this break. You'll listen to Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM, online at WEGLFM.com, or you're watching us on TV on Eagle Eye TV, Channel 6.
Fans, direct your attention to the flagpole for a special presentation.
You never really leave Auburn, because Auburn never leaves you.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born, and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. And our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
Welcome back into the Extra Point here on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. You're also catching us on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 or EagleEyeAuburn.com. Brooks, we want to talk about the NFL situation considering Le'Veon Bell, Earl Thomas, a couple of players who kind of waited out for better contracts, and probably what I believe the inevitable NFL lockout that's going to happen.
Inevitable lockout?
Yes.
Ooh.
Brooks, Le'Veon Bell, from yesterday, sources tell ESPN, Le'Veon Bell is planning to come back to the Steelers after their bye. I believe it's week 6, so he'll be back week 7. He's returning to the team week 7. I don't know when he sees the field again.
Yeah.
I assume if he's coming back to the team week 7, he plays week 7.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Because if...
Now, that being said, I don't want to take the position away from James Conner. He's done well.
The thing is Le'Veon Bell, I think in the eyes of the Steelers right now, he's got to earn their trust back.
Yeah.
Because James Conner has been really good for them the past few weeks. So if James Conner continues to perform like he has been, I think it's going to be hard for Le'Veon to come in and get playing time right away, which he may not want to. He may just want to be back and be getting those game checks again and waiting. He may not want to play right off and be like, hey, I want to get back in a form. But allegedly, he's been keeping himself in form.
Now, on the flip side of that, Le'Veon's back. He still wants to get a new contract done, and the Steelers are still open to trading him. So the saga is not over at all. He's just back now. He's visible, which probably makes it worse, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Plus, what's going to happen in that Steeler locker room when he comes back? Because there were quite a few people in that Steeler locker room, players, that spoke out against Le'Veon and saying he needs to be here, he needs to be here for the team, and they were not happy with him not coming back.
Now, I do believe the moment Le'Veon comes back and he helps the Steelers win, short-term memory, that's not going to be an issue anymore.
Sure.
But on the flip side, we go from Pittsburgh, let's go all the way out west to Seattle, and Earl Thomas. And Earl Thomas was the red flag that Le'Veon was trying to wave, that this is going to happen if, we don't restructure these contracts and get better deals. Earl Thomas was in his contract year last year. He wanted a better deal. He wanted security. Because Earl Thomas isn't young. He's one of the better defensive players in the NFL. But he wasn't young. He's in his contract year. He wanted security. So he held out. And then Earl Thomas ends up breaking his leg against the Cardinals. And I think the photo that captures the moment of what this inevitable lockout will be, when Earl Thomas was being carted off the field and just flipped the bird to his own sideline. That will be the last time we see Earl Thomas in a Seahawks uniform. And it was after that moment where Le'Veon Bell said on Instagram, after that injury, this is why I'm the bad guy. I will continue being the bad guy. This is why players like Earl Thomas and Le'Veon Bell want to stop this franchise tag nonsense, which we can get into a whole discussion about franchise tag, because it is kind of ridiculous how often the Steelers can franchise tag Le'Veon Bell, and him not to have that security. That's a whole different discussion. If you're the Seahawks and you're Earl Thomas, and Earl Thomas is like, look, I want security. If you can't give me that, trade me. No hard feelings, but I want security.
Yeah.
Why can't I go to a different team that will give me that? And then the Seahawks say, well, look, we just want you to play for us. Can you do that for us? And Earl Thomas doesn't do what Le'Veon does. Earl Thomas comes back. He plays. He may not like that he's playing, but he's going to go out there and play. But now he's hurt. Earl Thomas probably won't get the contract he was looking for.
I don't know. I think what he did, and this, I may be way off on this. What he did was, he was in a contract year. He's just like Le'Veon Bell. Mm-hmm. He's like, I want a new contract. And the Seahawks are like, hey, still come back and play. And the Steelers are like, hey, still come back and play. Le'Veon's like, no, I'm not going to play. But Earl Thomas said, okay, I'll come back and I'll be part of the team. I think that proves to all the other, like, even if he doesn't get a new contract with the Seahawks, someone else.
I think he burnt that bridge when he flicked them off. I'm not going to lie.
Someone else in the league will give him a contract, a big contract, because he's still a really good defender.
But he's not going to get the contract he was probably looking for. That
because
that's the
he
thing.
he showed that he's a team player, and he puts the team first over him.
But will you give Earl Thomas a potentially, probably record-breaking contract that he was seeking after he broke his leg?
I mean, a broken leg is not the same as like a torn ACL.
It's not. But are you still going to give a player that after they're coming back from injury? And he's in his 30s. Not knocking him that he can't still go.
Sure.
But
if I was a general manager and I was looking for a defender, a really good defender, I would give him a really hard look. And give him and if I decided like, yeah, you're going to help us potentially win a championship, I would give him that contract. Because he proved to me that he puts the team's wants over his own wants. And he was a team player. And he knew this was a real possibility. That's why he wanted a new contract. He wanted, like Le'Veon, he wants security. But he still went out there and played. And something did happen to him, which is really unfortunate. But he still put the team's needs over his own.
And so then you have Le'Veon Bell coming back. And God forbid what happens to this conversation about players sitting out if Le'Veon Bell gets hurt. And Le'Veon Bell has a history of getting hurt.
That's really true.
So God forbid something happens to Le'Veon Bell, because that's going to start a chain reaction. You're going to start seeing a lot of players saying, if I'm on my contract year and I don't want to be here anymore, I want to get traded, I'm not going out there and risking my well-being, my security for that.
Sure.
You know, do you remember when we started seeing college players sitting out their bowl games? And that hasn't really been an issue talked about since Christian McCaffrey did it in the Sun Bowl for Stanford.
Yeah.
That was the one big moment that happened. It hasn't really happened since.
I was about to say, yeah, that year it was McCaffrey and it was Leonard Fournette and it was someone else big sat out.
And we thought that would start being a thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It didn't happen like that. Which I guess that's fortunate for college football, because that started becoming a thing. They were going to have to implement a rule.
Sure.
Because college football, let's be honest, they're going to want the money that those bowl games bring. And Christian McCaffrey was the big name in that bowl game.
I will say, if players started to do that, that may open the door to expanded playoff. Because if you have, like, these top players on top 10 teams that are sitting out, and college football is like, hey, we want them to play more, give them a chance to play for a championship, and they'll be like, I'm right there. I'll be there for the team.
Maybe, but then we get into a whole money situation of expanding the playoff. But that's a whole other discussion.
Just saying.
We could have 4 or 5 different shows about the discussion we brought up today.
I'm just saying.
But
it's a possibility.
For Le'Veon Bell, for Earl Thomas, this has become a sticky situation. Because this is worst case scenario. This is what the players were afraid of, right? You don't want to go out there. If you don't want to be with this team, and you went to the general manager, you said, look, fun time being here, but I want to be traded.
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering why these general managers are holding on to these players that don't want to be there. Like, what are you gaining other than, draft picks and a player out of keeping Le'Veon Bell around? What are you gaining by keeping Earl Thomas around?
Sure.
Because look at look what's happened with Earl Thomas now. Do the Seahawks think they're getting Earl Thomas back?
No.
The Seahawks lost because, A, you lost Earl Thomas. B, you're not going to get anything for him. He's going to walk. He's going to walk into free agency. So you've gained nothing out of that. With the Steelers, you got Le'Veon back. I don't know what's going to do to your locker room. Probably not going to be good things.
Probably not.
At this point, I don't know if you're going to trade him. And he's probably going to walk at the end of the year anyway. So the Steelers and Seahawks are both going to lose out on their star players that helped them to get to where they're at. And they're not going to get anything in return. If you're a GM, you know it's a contract year, you know they're not coming back. You got to pull the trigger eventually and say, I'm going to get something out of them. Second round pick, third round pick, something.
Yeah.
The Seahawks, I don't know what was going through the Seahawks' head. I don't know what's going through the Steelers' head. If I'm the Steelers, honestly, I don't know if I bring Le'Veon back. He's going to help you win, sure, but...
When is the trade deadline in the NFL?
Week 9? Week 11? I believe.
Let me see.
I'm trying to base it off my Madden football experience. I usually turn trade deadlines off.
Let me pull it up. It's not obviously not September. October 30th.
All right, that's a Tuesday. So we'll be talking.
That is.
We'll have a show. Wait, no, that's Monday. No, we'll have a show Monday. Yeah, no. I'll take that back. We'll have a show Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday. Because Halloween's on a Wednesday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dang.
So that would be what we're going into this week? Week 5 in the NFL this week?
Something like that.
Yeah, week 5 because the Patriots are 2-2. So we got week 5, 6, 7, 8. So it'll be after week 8, right after week 8. So that means Le'Veon will be back for 2 weeks.
And that's enough to, I guess, put the product on the field and try to get something out of
I'm
him.
about to say that if I'm the Steelers and I want to get something out of Le'Veon, like trade-wise, I bring him back. I don't make him the starting running back. I think James Conner's earned that unless he just implodes this next week. I think you bring Le'Veon back, you do play him a little bit, and you run him and show him off, kind of like a show floor. You're like, hey, every team that's contender and you want a running back, this is what we got. Come and get him.
I think the problem with this, if Le'Veon gets hurt, it's gonna just shoot the Steelers' chances of trading him.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we still did not solve the problem of what these guys were talking about.
Yeah.
And so that NFL lockout, that's now looming. It seems like it's ever changing now. I said it during the summer. I'm saying it again. That lockout's going to happen in some capacity. Whether that's they miss 1 or 2 preseason games, whether they're in a lockout for 24 hours, a lockout's going to happen.
Don't we have what was it? Football? We had a lockout recently, and it almost went to the regular season.
I mean, I know NBA had a shortened season a couple years ago because
that's the one I was thinking about then.
The NBA had a shortened season because of a lockout. And let me tell you something. You think these players aren't afraid to lock out? Le'Veon Bell set out a regular season halfway through, 5 weeks of regular season before coming back. He's not afraid of missing a couple preseason games. These guys are not.
No.
Especially if they get what they want and get these big contracts, a better part of the TV deal. They're not afraid to sit out. They'll do it. But, Brooks, that's going to do it for us on the show. We'll be back Thursday, same time, same place.
I can't wait to give my picks Thursday, and
you're not going to catch back up.
I can retake the lead.
You're not going to catch back up, but thank you guys for listening. If you want to catch up more on the Extra Point, you can catch us on WEGL 91.1 FM or online at WEGLFM.com. Catch us on our SoundCloud or iTunes page by typing in WEGL 91.1 FM. Or, hey, you want to see what we actually look like? You can also go to Eagle Eye TV's page at eagleeyeauburn.com, or you can go to Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 on YouTube, or, hey, you turn on your TVs, you can catch us periodically on Eagle Eye TV Channel 6 on campus, and, hey, public access as well in the city of Auburn. For Brooks Childress, I'm Jared Diller saying so long, and we'll see you on Thursday.